Greetings YouTube and welcome to my latest build. And it's a build that's not going to be a weapon. Yeah, I know it happens sometimes. So what is this going to be? Well, you're looking at 4 steel plates. These plates are each 6 by 9 inches and they are 11 gauge steel, which is pretty hefty. I'm going to make a chest piece to add to my post-apocalyptic warrior cosplay I use at Halloween quite frequently. And I've posted pictures of it before on my DeviantArt. Oh, I have my Instagram as well. But my DeviantArt, if you want to go take a look at it. But I never had any kind of body armor. I wear a steel helmet, an actual military grade. I think it's Romanian, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's from somewhere out in the Eastern Bloc area region. I'm not sure where it's from, but Bulgaria for all I know. But I picked it up for $10 at a yard sale. Yeah, you can actually buy military hardware at yard sales. And I've never had any kind of armor other than that. So I thought, you know, what the heck, why don't I build some armor? So these 4 plates are going to become the chest piece. You're looking at the configuration they're going to be when I'm done. And I'm going to join them together in a method that I've never seen used anywhere. Yeah, I'm going to use hinges to join them together. So probably something like that. Probably about ½ inch in from the end. This one, these will be all the way up, snugging up like that. And that one will snug up like that as well. There we go. So there's going to be a total of 6 hinges holding this together. I was kind of hoping these were 3 inches, but they're 3.5, so I can't quite get them to be quite as close as I wanted them to be. But you know, that's life. It does leave a few gaps, but again, it's partly aesthetic, but this is actually going to be armor. These components, like they are right now, come in at 4.1 kilograms or 9 pounds. That's a fairly hefty chunk of metal that you'll be strapping to your front of your body. And this would definitely stop incoming melee weapons. And it would probably stop, well, it's going to stop any kind of conventional bow that you're going to find in the United States. People hunting bows and target bows, they're not going to be able to get through this so long as they hit a piece of metal, obviously. If they hit a gap, I'm in trouble. But it will also stop probably the vast majority of crossbows you're going to find in the United States, because even though some of those rank a really high poundage, you have to remember that the draw length, the power on a crossbow is different than the power on a bow. A 160-pound bow, that's a really powerful bow. That can only be drawn by very few people. 160-pound crossbow sounds just as impressive. It isn't. The length of the throw is much shorter. Crossbows have to have a much higher poundage to equal the amount of energy from a bow of the same poundage level. So this is going to stop that. This would also easily stop 22 caliber rounds. It would probably slow down, if not stop, a 38. Anything heavier than that's going to get through it. And I don't think it's going to stop anything other than a 22 caliber when it comes to rifle rounds. But I figure most rifle rounds would go right through this thing. I could be wrong. I'm not a ballistics expert. And I'm going to hold this thing together with this webbing here. I have an entire roll of this webbing, which I picked up at a yard sale for, I think, $2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount that webbing into 2 locations, on the top plate and 2 on the bottom plate. But I'm going to slightly asymmetric on the bottom plate, because here's where I have to put a ring. And this is what I'm going to do. So you're going to have the webbing. These will all be in the inside. So when they're done, all you're going to see is the barrels and the rivet heads, because I'm going to use 1/4-inch rivets to hold this thing together so it has a nice clean look. So the webbing's going to go like this, and it's going to go up over the shoulder, across the back, and then across the body in the back to this corner. And then there will be a tail. Strip goes up around my body and to this one, and there'll be a tail. On one end of one of these tails will be 2 rings, and those 2 rings will act as a cinch, so I can then put it around my body and tie it and pull it in place. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to need a strap across here or not to go across my body in the back. Since this is not actually armor, this is just for me to wear, I think I can get away with just this point here. And when in the position where the two straps cross each other on my back, because they're going to cross like this in the back somewhere, I'm going to probably put an additional fastener there so that is a stable point. That will mean that the straps on the top will be stable. They're not going to move around, and it is only the bottom sections that are going to have any kind of movement to them. That particular X, however, is something I'm going to have to wait until my wife is available to me, because I can't do that. I can't mark it, obviously, because will be wearing it to me on my back. And at the moment, my wife is away. She is in Sweden, but don't fear, my wife. By the time you see this, she will be back. I have, at my last count, 28 crafting videos already in the can at the time of this recording, and it is the weekend of July 4th, 2022. And you guys will not see this for probably more than a year, because I put one up every other week. So she will have a long return from Sweden. She had actually got a chance to go to the Arctic Circle, so she had quite a bit of fun. I picked up these hinges for a song. This is a salvage. This was wicked cheap. So my investment in the materials is pretty low, and the weight is going to be a little bit higher when I'm done, but not a whole lot. This webbing is going to add some, but I'm also going to be taking some away because of the holes I'll be drilling. That'll be a moderate amount, because I'll be putting some of it back in the form of rivets. So we'll see. And I realized when I got down here, I'm like, crap, I don't have anything for the corners. I have to go buy a bunch of rings. And I think the only place I'm going to be able to find that is a hobby store like Michael's or something. They may have those. So this is 2-inch wide belt or webbing. So I'm hoping that I can find some 2-inch wide rings that I can use. And I will make my own mounts. I can probably throw something like that together without too much difficulty. I'm a clever lad. So I think this is going to come out kind of nice. And when I'm finished, I think it's going to have a nice look. And the bulk of this project is going to be just drilling lots of holes, laying things out and drilling lots of holes, like figuring out what that distance is, draw a line, figure out where I want the holes to be, boom, boom, drill those, and then fitting everything together. These holes are already the right size, so that's golden. I'll be drilling 1/4-inch holes through these for the 1/4-inch rivets. So a lot of this is just drilling holes, and a lot of that. And I have to make sure I drill all the holes I need before I start riveting, because once I start riveting, this thing gets increasingly heavy and awkward. And I weighed it beforehand, because when I'm done, this is going to be a very difficult object to weigh. So much easier, I can just pile up this crap on my scale and get you a nice clean reading that way. So like I said, this is going to weigh probably about 10 pounds when I'm done. It's 9 pounds of metal. I'll probably throw another pound of strapping and such. So we'll find out when I'm finished how it feels when I'm wearing it. Now it's time to figure out exactly where I want things. So far it's just kind of been by eye, and start doing layout lines. Alrighty, so I've set up my drill to drill the plate. I'm using a spacer here to make my clamp be more efficient, because this is kind of thin. Again, it's only 11 gauge. And I'm trying out a new drill bit, and it's called the Stinger Mock Blue Armor Plated. It's from Spider, and that's with a Y. And I gotta tell you, I'm not real impressed. I've done 2 holes so far. Both of them are triangular. I'm gonna give it 2 more tries on this one, and then I'm gonna walk the holes till they'll fit the rivets I need, and then I'm gonna probably delegate this to something else. I'm not sure what, but it's not going to become my go-to. It's not going to become my go-to drill when it comes to doing steel. And I'm not going fast. I'm not trying to overwhelm this thing's capacity to drill. And I'm getting a nice flow of chips. I mean, the chips are coming out. So, I mean, alright. And set up for the last one. Sorry, I was just listening to harp music of some variety. And I don't know why, it's July, but they're playing Christmas music. So let's give this a shot now. I'm giving it a chance. Get that out of the way. And grab my 1/4" rivet, which I put over here. And the verdict is, it doesn't go in the damn hole. Nope. None of them. It doesn't fit in any of the holes I made. So I'm gonna walk this thing out a little so I get this thing to fit for me. But then I'm gonna like continue to be unimpressed with Spider's products. I've heard good things about some of their cutting tools. I can't say I'm impressed by them in the least. But you know, it is what it is. And I'm going to go back to drilling. I think I might have a Milwaukee kicking around that I just bought. I may go back to my Milwaukee drill bits. They seem to be doing a more consistent job for me when it comes to producing the kind of results I want, not to mention the holes are round. Alright, many holes later, and these plates are almost done. These are done. These have all the holes in them they're going to need. I don't know 100% where the last 2 holes are going to go, because I don't know what the D-rings are going to look like, so I have to go find some of those, and then I got to figure out how I want to mount them. And if I can do that easily today, I'll go pick up the D-rings today, I can work on this tomorrow, which is the 4th of July, and I really want to stay in 4th of July. I don't want to participate in any kind of consumerism on that day, and nobody should be doing anything on that day in my book, but you know, we should be mourning. But so those are finished. 2 more holes into these, I think. I can get away with just 1 hole to mount the D-rings with, but now I have to go get the D-rings. So I'm going to take a sample of that with me, just to make my life a little easier. And then hopefully tomorrow I can get to the assembly portion. That'll probably be the first thing I do, is here with the D-rings. And once I get that out of the way, then I can begin to do the two sub-assemblies. I'll do 1 sub-assembly, then I'll do the other sub-assembly, and then I'll bring the 2 sub-assemblies together with the 2 hinges and the 2 hinges here to bring the top and bottom. So, looking good so far. I am quite pleased with how this project is going. So I've decided on what I'm going to do for the 2 mounting points for the harness. Now I'm going to use these 2 rings. I'm going to mount them here. And I want to mount them so that they are on the back side, so that they're not going to be all that visible. And I want them to be close to the edge. And I'm going to make the fasteners out of this piece of steel strapping, which is scrap. I got that from work. We're just going to recycle it. So I brought this home, and what I do is I'm going to cut 2 pieces here. Fold them in half. It'll be around that. I'll drill a hole through it. I'll round the ends off so it's not too jagged on that piece. And then I'm going to mount it on the back so that one of these sits pretty much just about there. So it will not be able to come forward. It'll only be able to lie either parallel or be pulled backwards with the stress of the harness pulling it around my waist. So I'm not going to have to worry about it being all that visible from the front. So once I get those made, I will then figure out where the hole for them has to be. It's probably going to be somewhere in here. I'm not positive on that one. And then I'm going to have to, I may want to factor that in, because I got myself an entire box of fender washers because I was running low on fender washers. So I'm going to be using a fender washer on the back to hold the entire thing together, because I want there to be a lot of surface area for this thing to be properly clamped with the rivet. So I'm probably put the fender washer is probably going to factor into where I put that hole. So I don't want the fender washer visible, and I need it to be far enough in that everything will function on the back. So how I lay that out is probably going to be about there. So hopefully in the next segment you'll see there will be a hole in both these plates in exactly the same location once I figure that out. Alrighty, so now I'm going to make some fasteners. I got to figure out where I want to put the hole based on the size and of the fender washer, as well as how my fasteners end up needing to be located to achieve all of these different converging concepts all coming together. So now here we have the components for the anchoring points. I'm going to put the washer will go on this. That will not only anchor it in place, but also cover over the end so that there's no burr showing. Obviously, this is going to fit in the inside, and it worked out that I think it looks best with the end of this running flush with the edge of the plate like that. And this is going to mean that when I'm finished, this cannot bend forward, but it can bend backwards in the direction that the belt is going to be drawn. So I think at this point, I think I'm at the assembly stage. I'm at the start to rivet things together stage. So I'm going to start out with these, I think, because they're the only singular things. Everything else is going to be hinges. So we'll get these knocked out of the way. And once those are knocked out of the way, then I can start working on all the hinges, and I'll work on the two sub-assemblies. I'll work on one of these, and then this one, and then bring them together at the end, because that's going to be the most complex thing, because I'll be dealing with, 4.5 pounds of steel in these two sections, kind of marrying them together, and that's always a pain when you're starting to deal with awkward objects, particularly if they're flexible, awkward objects. Things get very dynamic. Oh, and I was able to find this in my collection, and that's going to end up being the attachment method that I use behind my back. So I'll cut these off here, and these are the perfect size for that particular belt. And I'll keep this belt for, this is some kind of a fashion belt. I bought it for the buckles, but also because it had these holes in it. So in the future, I may be able to find this use and don't have to worry about locating holes. They're already there, so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to cut this off, recycle these, and that's going to be how I create the attachment in the back. And when I get to that point, what I will do is I'll bend the end. I'll loop the end over these, and then I'll put a double riveted set of these in place. It'll be one on each side, rivet it together, and that will hold the end of the belt together for that purpose. You'll see that when I get there. So I guess it's time to start doing a lot of riveting. Many of my projects are unusual in how they have to be laid out, but this janky piece of clamping may just be the record, because as I clamped more and more of the hinges in place, I was limited more and more about how I could hold it, because now things begin to interfere with themselves. So now I'm at the last stage, and I just did these two right here. I'm on my last two rivets, and now I can take these clamps off and do those, because this rivet is now holding the hinge in place, and that rivet is now holding that hinge in place, and I've already got the rivets in place, so nothing will have moved much. But yeah, this is it just got gradually more and more complex as I went. So I'm down to this piece of T-bar here, which is actually T-shaped. This is a piece of salvage I've got from a table, a shelving unit rather, that somebody gave away, and a piece of that ended up in my Wasteland Stinger. And that piece right there is actually slated for another project, which is yet to come. But yeah, this just cracks me up. It's all coming together, and I really like the way these rivets all came together. I think that just looks really cool against the darker metal in the back, the aluminum against the darker metal. I think that looks really cool. So these last two rivets, that I'm done with all the hinges, the whole thing will have been assembled. Then I need to figure out how long I want my straps to be, and I'm going to base them on the length of the straps from my leather apron. I'm going to measure those for length, and when I get those lengths, I'm going to add in that much, because they have to go from here up, because the straps don't do that on a leather apron. They're going to have to go up from here, and then from that forward, they should roughly be the length of the ones from the apron. And that combination should give me the length, and I'm probably going to add like another foot. I've got, I don't know, 150 feet of this stuff. I can spare another foot of stuff to make sure that I'm not going to have to worry about it in the future. And once I get those cut to the length I want them to be, then I can start to, I can't put it on and get a final length until I've actually got things riveted together. So once I get them cut, then I'm going to start the process of marking the belts, the straps where they have to be weakened. So I'll put them in place. I'll probably clamp this thing down, and then I'll start using a marker. I have a silver marker through these holes to mark the belt, which is black, and that way I know where I need to cut with the razor to get the rivet to fit through. And then once I get the rivet to fit through the belt, I will use a fender washer on the other side, pull it all together, and then clamp it together, and that will hold everything together nice and tight. But yeah, this is gonna look so damn cool when I'm done. Well, here we are. Apologize for the bathroom shot. It's the only mirror I really have. That's gonna give me this much of a view. So here we have the piece, and for 10 pounds, it doesn't feel that bad at all. And when I wear this, I will be wearing a wool sweater under it because it'll be Halloween. So I'll have some additional padding under this. At the moment, all I'm wearing is a t-shirt. The bend here in the center definitely helps make it conform a little better. Obviously, it can't bend in both directions at the same time, so these hinges are strictly being used to, hold the two subunits together. But the ridge down the center definitely does, in fact, provide some cresting, which is really appreciated. And it goes over the back like this. You can see, hope you can see, sorry. I can only see through the back of this particular camera, so I cannot get a clear shot. We'll see a view of what the heck I'm looking at the moment. All right, so yeah, now I will take stills of this for my Instagram and DeviantArt. Unfortunately, I'll get some shots of probably just the body, not the whole body thing, because I can't do it by myself at the moment. There's no way for me to get vertical shots be acceptable to my video editing software. I have no idea why that is, but that it is a thing. It only likes horizontal, landscape shots. So when it comes to my video editing, all my shots are always, the stills are always horizontal, are always landscape, as opposed to my phone, which I can just take pictures either in portrait or landscape, and both Instagram and DeviantArt are indifferent to the orientation of the image. But my editing software, which is OpenShot, I believe I'm using OpenShot, which is a recommendation from my friend Jan. Thank you, Jan. So yeah, definitely very happy with this project, and I love the way it's kind of like this spinal vibe going on here. I admit there are security issues here, and you could wear, you could put a layer of chain or a layer of leather under this if you want to. I'm doing this strictly for a cosplay, so I'm not all that concerned about that. If I at some point in the future think it's an issue, I will do something about it. I don't at the moment. I'm never going to actually wear this in combat. This is just for fun, but it's going to add to something, a real level of complexity to my my cosplay come Halloween. I'm really looking forward to that. Yes, very, very cool, and definitely going to stop a whole lot of things from getting through. I watched a video this morning with George Sprave, and he was from the Slingshot channel, and he was talking about a crossbow he's got, and he was shooting 1mm steel armor. Nobody wears 1mm steel armor. They're wearing something at least this heavy. This is 11 gauge, and his crossbow bolts were not going to get through this. Period. As much as he may think they were cool, they're not getting through 11 gauge steel. Yeah, they punched right through 1mm, 0.39 inches of material, but that's very thin. It really is. It is very thin stuff. That's like ductwork thickness. It's not thick metal. Alrighty. So thank you for being here for this project. I hope you have fun watching it. I had fun making it. I am going to again put this up on DeviantArt and on Instagram. I still haven't quite got the belt layout figured out quite yet. this webbing is very stiff, and I just started using it, so it hasn't had any time to relax. But you should follow me on DeviantArt for my stills, which is the permanent home for those, and Instagram because I post bargain finds, sneak previews, any number of different things I post there that are related to my projects and things I find, as well as cute cat pictures. And who, of course, doesn't love a cute cat pic? So, in the event there are not any shots with my head in following this, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you'll come back for the next one.